My people, oh, another one don't happen. Hey, you know, say I tell una say now every day we dey hear stories for Nigeria. Honestly speaking, but the unfortunate thing is that most of these stories we hear every day in Nigeria, they are not good stories. They are not good ones. It's either you hear say Fulani kill person, or you hear say they kidnap person, or you hear say they commission 30-kilometer road instead of 700 kilometers, or you hear say na bad news na it must be. I don't know why. Now make I tell you wetin happen again. In fact, let me not speak in pidgin because I have understood that some of my audience don't understand pidgin. Now, about 4 days ago, General Yakubu Gowon granted an interview on Arise TV. Yes, you know General Yakubu Gowon. General Yakubu Gowon is the head of state during the 1966-1970 Biafran War, where about 5 million Biafrans were killed. Head of state then was like the president, the person where they in charge. So General Yakubu Gowon is still alive. And just a couple of days ago, he granted an interview. Now, he said some things that were just funny. Things that were just funny. Let me say this one that is more funny. Then Yakubu Gowon said that after the Buri Accord that he went to Ghana with Ojukwu, that when he came back, he had malaria. That was why he was not able to declare the things they discussed in Ghana in their Buri. That was why he didn't declare it. So as Ojukwu, they wait for him, he no declare. Now Ojukwu go declare Biafra. So the thing is that he had malaria after the Buri Accord. That is number one. The second one, he said that it was not his intention to cause or to bring war, that it was under his care, that Nigeria was under his care rather, to make sure that Nigeria is united and that Nigeria is one. That was what he said. In fact, let me be honest with us. I watched that video. If you go to Arise TV, you will see, if you go to their channel on this YouTube, you will see it. That video lasted for about 1 hour. But did you know why I did not post that video? Gowon was struggling to answer some questions. I'm going to play for you just maybe like 1 minute video of what he said. You will hardly hear. So even me that watched that video, only few things I grabbed. So he was struggling, right? So that one being apart. Old age. Old age. But honestly speaking, this thing still sounds funny to me. Like he said that after the Buri Accord, that when they came back to Nigeria, that he had malaria, he felt sick. So one Igbo senator has come out to reply him to say, "Go on, you said you felt sick." Please, I'm sorry for all this laughter, but honestly speaking, these things are just funny. You know, I tell you, some things when they happen for this country, it could be like saying now where two children like babies, where babies they play. You know that kind of play where babies they play, you could just they laugh. Honestly speaking, what is happening in Nigeria sometimes, after listening to it, I will ask myself, wait, adults did this country, people who they mature, they did this country at all? Honestly speaking. Anyway, I'm going to play for you now a bit of the video that Gowon, a bit of that interview that Gowon granted. After which, then you watch the reply that Igbo senator, yes, replied him and say, "Oga," he be like say, you don't know what they talk. Please watch it. Then you drop your comment on the comment section. I want to ask this question again. You watching this as a Biafran or as an Igbo person, are you going to forgive Gowon after killing over 5 million Biafrans? Drop your comment on the comment section. But for now, please watch what he said and then you listen to what the Igbo senator replied him, please.
Yes, I think I have said that if the East does not break up from Nigeria, yes, and that was what I kept on saying. Why people say that you want to say no, I have a responsibility, to keep Nigeria, not Nigeria. And as far as I'm concerned, That is my take. And I warned that if the situation gets to this stage, when I had to choose between allowing the breakup, or happy to just stop it physically. I know where my responsibility is because of my loyalty, love and loyalty to the country.
Didn't address the nation on what they agreed in Aburi. In Gowon's account yesterday, I was shocked to hear him say that when he returned, he had malaria. And because he had fever, he delayed his announcing the agreements reached in Aburi. So at his age, he didn't need to start lying. When he came back, his advisors told him to renege on all the things agreed in Aburi. So it was Gowon who plunged the country into that civil war. It was because he refused to announce the agreements reached in Aburi. Ojukwu waited for him, and things were not getting better. And Ojukwu now, I don't even think that he made a formal broadcast. He leaked the agreements reached in Aburi, and he was still waiting on Gowon to do the needful. Gowon now said that if Ojukwu had not said the things agreed in Aburi, that I wouldn't know anyone, that he would have said the same thing by himself, but if not for malaria that he was suffering from. So I think he has not done what he should be doing at this late stage of his life. It is time for him to begin to speak the truth, to heal the wounds of that war. Everybody has moved on. The war is 55 years today that it ended. But to come back at 91 years of age and tell these obvious lies means that he is not thinking about how to leave Nigeria in peace. He said he fought for Nigeria to be one. That's what he said. That the reason for fighting the civil war was to keep Nigeria as one. Is Nigeria one today? Nigeria is not one today.
Good morning, everyone. Saturday, June 21 is today, 2025. Senator Ume to Gowon, your account of Biafra war is reading with falsehood. Anambra Senator Victor Ume has said Yakubu Gowon's recent account of the civil war is full of falsehood. Remember that yesterday I did a video talking about the recent interviews being granted by the former military general Yakubu Gowon, trying to stress issues about the civil war. I said that Gowon can never change the history. What he's supposed to do is what he's not doing. The senator representing Anambra Central Senatorial Zone, Senator Victor Ume, has described a recent account by former military head of state, General Yakubu Gowon, about the 30-month civil war as full of falsehood. Ume, who spoke to journalists in Oka, challenged Gowon to toe the line of his counterpart military president, General Ibrahim Babangida, by writing a book to give a factual account of what caused the war. Gowon had in a recent interview on Arise TV named Biafra leader named Chukwu Emeka Odumegu Ojukwu as being the cause of the war. Gowon also insisted that the war was not targeted at Igbos, but in a sharp reaction, Ume, in an interview with journalists in Oka, said it was either Gowon is not tired of lying or he's just suffering from dementia. Take a listen.
I listened to Gowon's interview with Charles Nagolo of Arise News. That's a television. That's why I said it should come. I listened to him, and I felt so sorry with the things he said. The reason being that at 91 years of age, I shouldn't be joining issues with him. But I remember that when Babangida launched his book and made revelations in that his book, I was on television again, I think it was Arise News, to speak on the fallout of that book launch, wherein I challenged Gowon to write his own book about the Civil War. Because Babangida stated clearly that the coup wasn't an Igbo coup. The Igbo people have suffered gravely because of that coup. A coup that was plotted to bring Awolowo out of prison and make him president of Nigeria. The actors had written their books, and that was their common program. And the coup didn't succeed. And the Igbos have been put to the wall because of it. I felt that with Babangida's clear statement that it wasn't an Igbo coup, and he named Yorubas and Northerners that were part of that coup, it was a big relief to me, and I challenged Gowon to write his own book, so Nigerians will read. So I was therefore disappointed that yesterday he granted an interview which showed the sign of dementia on his part at 91. he appeared to have forgotten the things that happened. But some of us who worked with Ojukwu and interviewed him and got records of what happened at that time disagree with all the things he said. One is that it was a big lie for him to say that the war was not against the Igbo people of Nigeria. What can be further from the truth? They said he was in Abeokuta. He wasn't in Abeokuta, and he heard about the insurrection in Abeokuta, and he was somewhere, and suddenly he saw how it ended. It snowballed into assassination of Ago Ironsi. That he wasn't part of the coup, he didn't know anything about it, but he later emerged as head of state after the coup, counter coup was organized. That is somebody telling lies. And for him to say that the war was not against the Igbo people, I thought by now he should be apologizing to the Igbo people for the role he played in that civil war. Instead of coming here to challenge our sensibilities, that I think not challenging, he's insulting our sensibilities, that the war was not against the Igbos. Who were the victims of the war? The counter coup was a cleansing of the Igbo officers in the Nigerian army. Igbo officers, he couldn't say those who were killed from his own Plateau state or part of Nigeria in the counter coup. He couldn't say that. So it was a reprisal coup against the Igbos, and the Igbos were not only killed as military officers, their businesses were destroyed across Nigeria. And the Aburi Accord, which he has misrepresented in his interview, is the greatest travesty. One was that I worked with Ojukwu for 5 years, and I asked him questions about these things, and including Aburi Accord. He told me that at Aburi, they all agreed to confederation. Confederation means that the regions will become confederate states, and every region will continue to develop at its own pace. That is the sense of the meaning of confederation. And when they agreed on all this, that General Ankara carried himself, General Ankara and Gowon and Ojukwu were at the back of the same car when they were being taken to the airport. And that Ankara took Gowon's hand and Ojukwu's hand, put them together, and said that they should go and implement the agreements of this Aburi. And he told Gowon right there, Ojukwu said he told Gowon that if Gowon gets home and announces the agreements reached here, that will be the first person to propose Gowon as the head of state of Nigeria. And when they all left, they came back to Nigeria. Days went by, Gowon didn't announce anything. He didn't address the nation on what they agreed in Aburi. In Gowon's account yesterday, I was shocked to hear him say that when he returned, he had malaria. And because he had fever, he delayed his announcing the agreements reached in Aburi. So at his age, he didn't need to start lying. When he came back, his advisors told him to renege on all the things agreed in Aburi. So it was Gowon who plunged the country into that civil war. It was because he refused to announce the agreements reached in Aburi. Ojukwu waited for him, and things were not getting better. And Ojukwu now, I don't even think that he made a formal broadcast. He leaked the agreements reached in Aburi, and he was still waiting on Gowon to do the needful. Gowon now said that if Ojukwu had not said the things agreed in Aburi, that I wouldn't know anyone, that he would have said the same thing by himself, but if not for malaria that he was suffering from. So I think he has not done what he should be doing at this late stage of his life. It is time for him to begin to speak the truth, to heal the wounds of that war. Everybody has moved on. The war is 55 years today that it ended. But to come back at 91 years of age and tell these obvious lies means that he is not thinking about how to leave Nigeria in peace. He said he fought for Nigeria to be one. That's what he said. That the reason for fighting the civil war was to keep Nigeria as one. Is Nigeria one today? Nigeria is not one today. The president was in Benue yesterday, where people of his own zone are being slaughtered on a daily basis in the past years. So what has he done to make Nigeria a better country? So I think that I still challenge him again to write his own truthful account of what happened in Nigeria under his watch, so that truth is an open word, conscience is an open word, only the truth will heal it. So he should stop running around. Let him come out boldly and say sorry to the Igbo people of Nigeria, because remember the coup brought out to Awolowo from prison, and instead of using Awolowo to unite Nigeria, he brought him and made him Federal Commissioner for Finance under his government. And they started driving economic policies that were aimed at exterminating the Igbos in Nigeria. So he was the person who laid the foundation for all these problems we're having. And he was the one who brought the Southeast, the Igbos and the Yorubas, at crossroads. Mistrust came in because Awolowo was released by Ojukwu after when the problem of Biafra was declared. So in trying to gather people, he now brought Gowon. Instead of uniting the country, he made him Federal Commissioner for Finance. He knows the purpose for that. And we have paid dearly for it. We don't want to be insulted more, because doing these things will aggravate our wound. We want to bury the wounds from the past. So let him stop speaking. If he doesn't want to say the truth, let him go and write his own book, so that when he's no more, his book will be circulated and he will be judged. Ojukwu is not alive to join issue with him. When Ojukwu was alive, he was talking. The ones refused to talk. And now that he's talking, it's very unfortunate. T.Y. Danjuma is still alive. He was the one that led the arrest of Gowon and his unfortunate, arrest and his unfortunate assassination. So I don't know what T.Y. will be thinking after hearing Gowon that he wasn't part of the coup. I didn't know anything about what happened in Nigeria and suddenly saw himself as head of state of Nigeria. How can somebody say this type of thing? So what is he trying to say for us to believe? So thank you very much.
I think that is the interpretation, that we not know whether that accord was, the actual final result written from it was not to be done until after we got home.
But you agreed to the accord when you were in GAF.
No, this is the accord. It is not a question of agreement in accord. It is when we come back home, and I made this. I made a statement. When you come back home, and I make a statement that you about a bull.
Right. Because that's why it was called an accord.
Yes.
An accord means that you had agreed.
No, accord. But then it has to be done in Nigeria before Friday.
So you needed to come home and discuss it.
Unfortunately, when the first people didn't want to believe it, I was having a serious attack of either fever or whatever it is. And I could not make any decision at home. Right. When we arrived in the home, and Ojukwu was one who then, when he came, he went and made made the statement. He made the statement about the Abu record. And the governor of the Midwest, Dib Eje, then rang me at that very early hours of the day. To tell me, he said, "Have you heard?" So I said, "Heard what?" And you know what Ojukwu said? So I said, "No." I haven't had anything that that happened, but that is the reason why I could not make this statement, which would have been clearly say exactly what we agree with and he told me that we said you are going to move a cart, that the military is going to be etc. going to be controlled now from each from each opposition, for example. And he was what I said today that is that actually honestly is that what we agreed to. But he said so I said, well, honestly I do not know what that is. So that was different the time, and later on had to ask the other governors what they think, and they were able to say, well, that is not quite what it is. So we had to organize a meeting of all the governors, and he was invited to attend so that we can deal with the Accord. and we met at NIFO in Benin, and he did not turn up, and of course, all the secretaries to the government, all the were there, all the governors were there. He was invited, but of course he said because of security reason he cannot come, so he didn't come or send anybody. And we discussed that discussion, and for example, the permanent the secretary to the government, the West, did ask, came and appealed to me, as a Christian, please, if we can make sure that that accord, what we agreed is in the true spirit of Aburi. And I told him, as a Christian, I can assure you that that is the way, it is going to be. And we had that meeting. In the end, we invited him to come. He did not come. So, and when we ended the meeting, of course, the spirit of Aburi was totally, as if it was sort of, I do not know what accord he was reading, because he came to the meeting with, prepared papers, of things that he wanted. And of course, we discuss them one by one, agree on some, disagree on some. Like, for example, to give you one of the major issue, although we say that the military would be zoned, but the control, and then he wanted, those zones to be commanded by the governor. Say, you have a military zone in the north, will be commanded by the governor of the ministry. In the east, will be commanded by by him, and military in the west, by this thing. And of course, we did not agree with that one. And certainly, it was not one of those agreed. But none of us went there, with any senior official, secretary to the government, or senior, etc. We did not. We just went there, as far as we are concerned, to be able to meet as officers now and then, to agree to be able to get back home and resolve our problem at home. That was my understanding, but that is not his understanding. And so when we went to NIFO and discussed this, the spirit of Aburi was certainly included. The only thing that I added was that from no region will can secede, from the
so that there was a clear, from your point of view, misunderstanding.
Absolutely.
The war, of course, ended in 1970, and you came up with that no victor, no vanquished declaration, which was seen by many people, both at home and abroad, as a extraordinary, magnanimous gesture of post-war reconciliation, unprecedented in many ways. Would you say that 55 years later, Nigeria has healed from the wounds inflicted by that terrible war, and that no victor, no vanquished declaration of yours was fully adopted in this country?
Well, at least we've survived how many years now? We survived how many years?
It'll be 65 this year.
Well, we've survived 65 years. Since the war, let us say.
Yes, 55 years since the war.
Since the war. At least, if there is anything, my whole idea is that when all this thing is done, at least we can be able to come back, and rebuild the country and make the great efforts that have been done. Yes, we've gone through, through dangerous time whereby as though we're going to break up, etc. But we've now come back, and we are now improving at every stage.
But you do know that survival is not the same as thriving.
Oh, thriving, isn't Nigeria?
All right. Wahala. Please do want to drop your comment on the comment section what you think, all right? I'll see you in my next video. Thank you very much, and God bless you.